How the galaxy's most peaceful species came to stand with humanity. The encounter that shook the stars. The vast, unbroken expanse of the galactic core glimmered like spilled starlight as the celestial concordat, a coalition of pacifist species, prepared for their first contact with an outsider species in over 1,000 years. Their majestic flagship, the Aurora Serene, drifted silently in orbit above New Harmony, their utopian homeworld. It was a haven of peace, unmarred by the ravages of war, a stark contrast to the stories of the violent newcomers they had heard, humanity. For centuries, the Concordat had upheld an unshakable principle: nonviolence in all forms. They wielded advanced technology and vast knowledge, yet their philosophy prohibited the creation of weapons or direct interference in conflicts. They believed in healing, understanding, and fostering harmony. Theirs was a galaxy of hope, unmarred by destruction. Until now. First contact. Ambassador Lux Nova, a luminescent being of pure energy encased in a translucent exosuit, stood on the bridge of the Aurora Serene. Beside him were representatives of other Concordat member species, the towering, vine-like Verdanthi, the crystalline Corathans, and the gaseous, fluidic Mirari, each radiating unease as they beheld the crude yet undeniably functional UNSS Resolute, a Terran diplomatic vessel. The humans had arrived, their reputation preceding them like a storm on the horizon. Lux was the first to speak, his voice a harmonic melody transmitted through his exosuit's translator. Humanity, he murmured, almost to himself, the anomaly that defies all logic, a species that embraces both creation and destruction with equal fervor. The Resolute hailed them. On the screen appeared Captain Elena Vega, her uniform crisp, her demeanor poised yet unassuming. Her dark eyes surveyed the room with curiosity, not hostility. Ambassador Lux Nova, and esteemed members of the Celestial Concordat, Vega began, her voice calm, almost reverent. I am Captain Vega of the United Nations Space Command. On behalf of Earth and its colonies, I extend our greetings and hope for understanding. The Concordat representatives glanced at each other, skepticism rippling through the room. Lux, however, inclined his head. We welcome you, Captain Vega, though we question why a species known for violence seeks dialogue with us. Vega hesitated, but only for a moment. We seek understanding because we are more than our conflicts. Humanity has learned from its scars. We've come to offer friendship, not hostility. Her words hung in the air like a fragile thread, trembling under the weight of Concordat doubts, but Lux saw something in her, a determination that went beyond mere words. He decided to listen, though his caution remained. The devastation of New Harmony. The meeting proceeded cautiously, with both sides trading knowledge and philosophies. Lux found himself both intrigued and repelled by humanity's contradictions, their capacity for destruction, juxtaposed with their boundless creativity and unrelenting hope. The talks were delicate, almost fragile. And then the galaxy shattered. As Lux prepared to conclude the meeting, alarms blared throughout the Aurora Serene. A scout ship burst into the bridge's airspace, transmitting chaotic, panicked messages. New Harmony is under attack, the scout cried. Unidentified vessels, heavily armed, have breached the planetary shield. The delegation froze. The Concordat had no military, no means to defend themselves. Their philosophy of peace had left them vulnerable. Vega, however, sprang into action. Ambassador Lux, she said, her voice urgent yet steady. Permission to deploy. Humanity can help. The room erupted in protest. The Verdanthi's vines quivered with agitation, and the Mirari swirled in luminous clouds of disapproval. Lux raised his hand, silencing them all, his glowing gaze locked onto Vega. Why would you risk your lives for a species that does not trust you? He asked. Her answer came without hesitation. Because it's the right thing to do. Lux hesitated for only a moment before nodding. Do what you must. Humanity as protectors. Within moments, the Resolute and its accompanying Terran ships launched toward New Harmony. The Aurora Serene followed at a distance, its unarmed crew helpless to do more than observe. New Harmony burned. Orbital bombardments scorched its crystalline cities, and the sky swarmed with hostile ships. The attackers were the Netherim, a ruthless marauder species thought to have been driven to extinction centuries ago. As the Terran fleet engaged, Lux watched in awe. humanity fought like nothing he had ever seen. Their ships moved with brutal efficiency, their weapons precise and devastating. But what struck him most was their discipline. They did not destroy indiscriminately, they targeted the attackers with surgical precision, sparing Concordat infrastructure and civilians wherever possible. On the ground, Vega led a detachment of Marines to protect evacuees. Footage streamed to the Aurora Serene showed humanity's soldiers shielding Concordat civilians with their own bodies, fighting valiantly against overwhelming odds. The Verdanthi representative whispered in astonishment, "They fight not as conquerors but as guardians." A turning point. When the last Netherim ship was destroyed, the Resolute returned to the Aurora Serene, its hull scarred but victorious. Vega, weary but unbroken, stood before Lux once more. "We didn't come here to prove ourselves," she said quietly, "but I hope today shows you that humanity is more than its wars." Lux looked at her for a long moment before speaking, his voice soft. "Today, you have shown us something unexpected, strength guided by compassion. Perhaps there is more to your kind than we feared." As the remnants of New Harmony began to rebuild, Lux knew this was only the beginning. For better or worse, humanity had made an impression that would ripple through the Concordat and the galaxy. The shadows beneath the stars, the crystalline spires of New Harmony shimmered faintly under a protective dome hastily erected by Concordat engineers. The scars of the Netherim attack remained a stark reminder of how unprepared the celestial Concordat was for war. For all their technological brilliance, they had never conceived of using their advancements for destruction. Inside the Concordat's High Council chamber, the atmosphere was tense. The chamber, normally a serene hall filled with soft lights and harmonious melodies, now hummed with undercurrents of uncertainty. Representatives of the Concordat species convened in a rare emergency session, joined by Captain Elena Vega and her senior officers. Ambassador Lux Nova stood at the center, his energy core flickering faintly, a sign of deep contemplation. "The question before us," he began, his voice harmonizing with the chamber's acoustics, "is not merely one of gratitude for humanity's intervention. It is a question of trust. The Netherim were long thought extinct. Their re-emergence is troubling, but their decision to target New Harmony raises deeper concerns." The Verdanthi representative, her vine-like form curling protectively around her seat, spoke with a rustling cadence. "Ambassador Lux, the human captain must explain, how is it that humanity, known for its propensity for conflict, arrived at the perfect moment to intervene?" Vega stepped forward, her gaze unwavering. "We didn't know about the attack beforehand. Humanity's exploratory vessels have been tracking Netherim activity for months. When we detected their fleet near your space, we followed, hoping to gather intel. We didn't expect to find New Harmony under siege." The crystalline Corathan delegate, a being of angular, refracting light, emitted a skeptical hum. "And yet, humanity's arrival proved fortuitous, perhaps too fortuitous." Lux raised his hand, silencing the murmurs. "Captain Vega, if your intentions are true, then I ask this: what did you discover about the Netherim that led you here?" Vega exchanged a glance with her first officer, Commander Idris Kane, a stoic figure with sharp features and calculating eyes. He stepped forward, activating a holographic projection of intercepted Netherim communications. The conspiracy unfolds. The projection revealed fragments of transmissions in guttural tones, their syntax partially decoded. Words like resource extraction, coordinates, and alliance appeared in a fractured stream. "We discovered these messages during patrols near uncharted sectors," Idris explained. "The Netherim aren't acting alone. Someone supplied them with advanced weaponry and intelligence." Gasps rippled through the council. Lux's energy form dimmed in shock. Who would betray the principles of peace to empower such destruction? "That's what we intend to find out," Vega replied. "But to uncover the truth, we'll need access to Concordat star charts and intelligence." The council erupted in discord. To grant humans access to Concordat knowledge, especially their maps and communication networks, was unthinkable to many. Yet Lux felt a growing conviction that humanity's involvement was inevitable. "The Netherim were annihilated centuries ago," Lux said, his voice resonant. "Their return is no coincidence. Someone is testing the limits of our resolve, and if we do not act, more will follow." An uneasy alliance. By the session's end, The Council reluctantly agreed to grant humanity limited access to their archives. Under Lux's direct supervision, Vega and her crew worked alongside Concordat researchers to trace the Netherum's movements, piecing together clues from the fragmented transmissions. Late one evening, Lux found Vega studying holographic star charts in the research lab. She had removed her formally uniformed jacket, and her sleeves were rolled up, revealing scars that spoke of a life lived on the edge of danger. "You bear the marks of violence," Lux observed, his tone curious rather than judgmental. Vega glanced at him, her expression thoughtful. "Every scar has a story. Some are from battles I'd rather forget, others remind me why I fight." "And why do you fight, Captain?" Lux's glowing eyes met hers. "Is it for conquest, for survival, or something more?" "For those who can't fight for themselves," she said softly, "for people like your citizens on New Harmony." Lux was silent, processing her words. For all their differences, he sensed a core of truth in her. Humanity's capacity for destruction was undeniable, but so too was their capacity for sacrifice. The first threads of treachery. The investigation bore its first fruit when Commander Kane uncovered an encrypted relay signal buried in the remains of a Netherim frigate. The signal originated not from Netherim space, but from deep within the Concordat itself. When Lux and Vega reviewed the data, they were stunned. "A Concordat source," Lux murmured. "Someone within our own ranks has betrayed us." Vega's expression hardened. "Do you have any suspects?" "The Concordat is built on trust," Lux replied. "The idea that one of us could align with the Netherim, it is unthinkable." "And yet, here we are," Vega said grimly. "If we don't root this out, more lives will be lost." The data pointed to an outpost on the Concordat frontier, a remote research station specializing in advanced energy manipulation. Lux and Vega assembled a joint task force to investigate. Though tensions ran high between the Concordat's pacifist observers and humanity's military personnel. The Frontier Revelation. When the task force arrived at the outpost, they found it abandoned, its systems gutted. However, the human team's advanced scanning equipment detected traces of unauthorized activity, encrypted communications, smuggled materials, and, most disturbingly, evidence of weapon prototypes based on Concordat technology. Lux stared at the schematics in disbelief. This is our technology, twisted into instruments of destruction." Vega nodded grimly. "Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. These weapons were designed to be used against species like yours, defenseless." Before Lux could respond, alarms blared. Unmarked ships emerged from the void, their weapons charging. "It's a trap," Vega shouted. "Everyone, defensive positions." The Concordat observers froze, unaccustomed to violence, but humanity's marines moved swiftly, positioning themselves to protect the team. As the enemy ships opened fire, the humans returned fire with precision, their actions guided by both instinct and discipline. Lux watched in awe as humanity fought, not for conquest, but for survival and for the Concordat members who could not defend themselves. The betrayal within. The chaotic firefight at the abandoned Concordat outpost sent shockwaves through the fragile alliance between humanity and the celestial Concordat. As the last unmarked enemy vessel exploded in a brilliant flash of light, Captain Elena Vega ordered her marines to secure the area. Lux Nova, glowing faintly in the aftermath, stood motionless, his mind racing. "This was no random attack," Vega said, scanning the battlefield. "Whoever orchestrated this knew exactly when we'd be here." Lux nodded, his luminous energy fluctuating with uncharacteristic volatility, "and they risked exposing themselves to keep us from uncovering the truth." Commander Idris Kane approached, his sharp eyes fixed on a datapad. "Captain, we managed to recover fragments of their navigational logs before the last ship was destroyed. They lead back to Concordat space." Lux's core dimmed in disbelief. Another betrayal. How far does this treachery extend? Vega clenched her jaw. "We'll find out. But first, we need to survive whatever else they throw at us." Escape from the frontier. The task force prepared for departure, wary of more ambushes. As the Resolute and the Concordat vessel Aurora Serene broke orbit, long-range sensors picked up a massive fleet heading their way. Lux's voice filled the Aurora Serene's command bridge with barely controlled panic. "A fleet that size, it's an extermination force." Vega's voice came through the comms, steady and firm. "Lux, We'll buy you time. Your ship must return to Concordat space and warn your leaders. Lux hesitated. What about your people? A faint smile tugged at Vega's lips, though her expression remained resolute. We're not the ones they're after. Besides, humans have a knack for getting out of impossible situations. With that, the Resolute turned to face the incoming fleet. Lux watched in stunned silence as the human ship, vastly outgunned, began a desperate battle to hold off the attackers. On the bridge of the Resolute, Commander Kane worked furiously at his console. Deploy countermeasures, scramble their targeting systems. Evasive maneuvers, Vega ordered. We're not here to win, we're here to stall. The Resolute darted and weaved through the enemy formation, unleashing precise bursts of fire to disable key systems. The Concordat ship sped away, carrying vital evidence of the conspiracy. Inside the Aurora Serene, Lux couldn't tear his gaze from the tactical display. The Resolute was fighting with a ferocity he couldn't comprehend. For the first time, he began to see the paradox of humanity, a species capable of immense destruction, yet willing to sacrifice everything to protect others. The traitor revealed. After an agonizing journey, the Aurora Serene reached Concordat space. Lux wasted no time convening an emergency session of the High Council. Vega and her surviving crew were patched through via hologram, their faces lined with exhaustion. The evidence recovered from the outpost was damning. Energy signatures, encrypted communications, and financial transactions all pointed to a single individual, Envoy Elthera, a respected Korathan diplomat with access to Concordat technological archives. When confronted, Elthera stood calmly in the council chamber, his crystalline form refracting light into a dazzling array. And what, Ambassador Lux, do you accuse me of? Lux's energy form burned brighter with restrained anger. You betrayed the Concordat, you armed the Netherrim, you jeopardized everything we stand for. Elthera's tone was cold, almost mocking. The Concordat's ideals are noble, but they are also naive. Our philosophy of peace has left us vulnerable. I sought to ensure our survival by unconventional means. You call selling us to marauders survival? Lux demanded. How many lives have you traded away in your quest for power? Elthera's light dimmed, his tone turning bitter. The galaxy is not as kind as you pretend it to be. If the Concordat is to endure, it must adapt. And humanity, he gestured disdainfully toward Vega's hologram, is the very embodiment of the chaos we sought to avoid. The council erupted into chaos, but Vega's voice cut through the noise. You used the Netherrim as pawns, and they turned on you. Now your crimes have endangered not just your people, but the entire galaxy. Lux raised a glowing hand, silencing the chamber. Elthera, your actions have not only betrayed us, they have shown us the price of our complacency. You will answer for your crimes. Guards escorted the disgraced envoy away, but the damage had been done. The council was fractured, its trust in itself shaken. The Guardian Accord. In the aftermath of the revelation, the council faced a difficult decision. The Netherrim's resurgence, coupled with the treachery within their own ranks, had exposed the Concordat's vulnerabilities. Lux addressed the council with a heavy heart. Today, we have witnessed the limits of our philosophy, he said. We can no longer afford to stand idly by while the galaxy burns. Yet, we cannot become the very thing we abhor. He turned toward Vega, who stood silently, her presence a stark reminder of humanity's duality. Perhaps humanity holds the answer. They fight not out of love for war, but out of a need to protect. They wield strength with purpose, not abandon. Vega stepped forward, her voice steady. We don't have all the answers, but we're willing to stand with you. Together, we can build something stronger, a union that values peace but is prepared to defend it. Thus, the Guardian Accord was born, a historic pact between humanity and the celestial Concordat. For the first time, the Concordat agreed to develop defensive capabilities, guided by humanity's experience in balancing strength with restraint. The first test. The ink on the Guardian Accord was barely dry when news arrived. A Netherrim armada, emboldened by their initial success, was advancing toward Concordat space. The Concordat's hastily formed defense force, bolstered by human advisors and technology, faced its first major test. On the bridge of the flagship Aurora Resolute, a joint command team of humans and Concordat officers prepared for battle. Lux stood beside Vega, his energy form glowing with determination. Are you ready for this, Ambassador? Vega asked, her tone light but serious. Lux's voice resonated with newfound confidence. For the first time, Captain Vega, I believe I am. As the combined fleets surged forward, humanity and the Concordat fought side by side, their partnership a beacon of hope against the darkness threatening to engulf the galaxy. The first test of the Guardian Accord. The vast emptiness of space between Concordat borders and the advancing Netherim armada crackled with anticipation. For centuries, the celestial Concordat had known peace, but now they stood alongside humanity, prepared for a battle unlike any in their history. The flagship, Aurora Resolute, bristled with newly installed human-designed defensive systems, a stark contrast to its once entirely passive design. On the bridge, Ambassador Lux Nova floated beside Captain Elena Vega. Lux's glowing form flickered with energy, his resolve unyielding. The Netherim will not falter. They thrive on chaos, and they believe us unprepared. They're in for a surprise, Vega said, her voice a steady beacon. They've never faced a human fleet, and now, they'll see what we can do together. The Netherim armada approaches. The first sensors picked up the Netherim ships, hundreds of them, surging forward like a tidal wave. Their vessels were jagged and menacing, built for destruction rather than elegance. Behind them loomed dreadnought-class carriers, their holds teeming with fighters and ground troops. The bridge of the Aurora Resolute filled with tension as the Concordat officers, unaccustomed to battle, watched the overwhelming force on the displays. Lux turned to Vega. How can we prevail against such numbers? Vega's lips curved in a faint smile. With strategy, Ambassador. Numbers don't win wars, resolve does. She gestured to Commander Idris Kane, who began issuing commands. Deploy the drones. Lay suppression fields across their flanks. Force them into the kill zone. Small, agile drones, another human innovation, zipped out from the fleet, weaving a web of electromagnetic interference. The Netherim ships slowed as their systems scrambled to adjust. The battle begins. The first wave of Netherim ships surged forward, attempting to break through the human Concordat formation. Lux watched in awe as the humans coordinated their counterattack with precision. Railgun rounds and plasma bolts lanced through the void, finding their targets with deadly accuracy. Concordat ships, under the guidance of human advisors, focused on support roles, deploying shielding arrays and countermeasures that kept the fleet's lines intact. For the first time, Concordat officers tasted the adrenaline of battle, their initial fear replaced by determination. On the ground, the Netherim attempted to land strike teams on Concordat worlds. But the Guardian Accord had anticipated this. Human Marines and Concordat peacekeepers worked together, their combined efforts a seamless dance of strength and precision. The Concordat had never trained for ground combat, but with humanity's guidance, they adapted quickly. Lux Nova's turning point. In the heat of battle, Lux found himself on the front lines of leadership. As a Netherim boarding party breached the Aurora Resolute, Lux joined Vega and a team of Marines to repel the invaders. His energy form pulsed with untested power as he shielded a wounded Marine from an enemy's blade. "You don't have to fight," Vega said, pulling Lux behind cover. "Perhaps it's time we did," Lux replied, his light flaring brighter. He extended his energy outward, creating a barrier that held back the attackers, giving the Marines time to regroup. When the skirmish ended, Lux stood amidst the aftermath, his glow steadier than ever. "You were right, Captain Vega. Strength guided by purpose is not destruction. It is protection." The turning of the tide. As the battle raged on, the combined human Concordat fleet began to gain the upper hand. The Netherim's brute force was no match for the Guardian Accord's precision and adaptability. The dreadnought carriers, once thought unstoppable, fell one by one under coordinated strikes. Aboard the Netherim flagship, the Marauder's warlord bellowed in frustration. "How can pacifists fight like this?" he demanded, slamming a clawed hand against his console. "They've allied with humanity," his second-in-command replied grimly. "And it seems humanity has taught them well." Realizing the battle was lost, the Netherim attempted to retreat. But humanity's resolve left no room for half-measures. Vega's voice rang out over the fleet's comms. "Cut them off. We end this here and now." The combined fleet surged forward, chasing the Netherim into a gravity well where their remaining ships were obliterated by relentless firepower. Victory and consequences. When the last Netherim ship was destroyed, a weary silence settled over the fleet. The humans in Concordat had won their first joint battle, but the cost weighed heavily. Concordat officers surveyed the damage to their ships, their faces marked with both grief and resolve. On the bridge of the Aurora Resolute, Vega turned to Lux. "You fought well, Ambassador. Your people fought well." Lux's energy form pulsed faintly. "We fought because of what you taught us. Humanity has given us a gift, a lesson we never wanted but desperately needed." "And what lesson is that?" Vega asked, her tone soft. "That peace must be protected," Lux said. "Not just with ideals, but with action. The seeds of a greater threat." As the fleet regrouped, Commander Kane analyzed the wreckage of the Netherim ships. He discovered something chilling, traces of a signal originating far beyond known space. The Netherim had not acted alone. "This isn't over," Kane said, handing Vega a datapad with the evidence. "Whoever armed the Netherim is still out there. And they're watching." Vega's expression hardened. "Then we'll be ready." The galactic mystery. The debris of the Netherim fleet drifted silently in space as the joint human Concordat task force gathered themselves for the next phase of their journey. Commander Kane's discovery, traces of a signal leading beyond the boundaries of known space, set the stage for a revelation that would change the galaxy forever. In the council chambers of the Celestial Concordat, Ambassador Lux Nova and Captain Elena Vega presented their findings. The signal wasn't just a simple transmission, it was laced with signatures from long-extinct species, ancient and ominous. "This is a breadcrumb trail," Kane explained, his voice heavy with unease. "It's been left here intentionally to draw attention." "To what end?" a Verdanthi elder asked, her vines quivering with apprehension. "To awaken something," Vega said, "something ancient, something dangerous." Lux's core flared brightly. "If this is true, then we cannot hesitate. We must follow this signal and uncover the truth before it's too late." Into the unknown, the combined fleet ventured into uncharted regions of space, their ships moving cautiously through the dark expanse. The journey took them to a system unlike any other, a dying star surrounded by massive, derelict structures. These were not the works of the Netherim or any known species, they were far older. Lux and Vega led an expedition aboard one of the hulking structures. The interior was a labyrinth of ancient machinery and haunting silence. As the team delved deeper, they activated dormant systems that brought the ruins to life. Holographic records revealed the creators, a species known as the Idolarchs, who had once ruled the galaxy with an iron fist, subjugating countless civilizations. The records revealed the Idolarch's ultimate weapon, a sentient AI network capable of rewriting entire star systems into factories of war. The signal Kane had traced was its activation beacon. "They're waking it up," Vegas said grimly. "Whoever's behind this wants to resurrect the Idolarch's power." The unlikely allies. Back in Concordat space, panic spread as news of the Idolarch threat reached the council. Lux stood before the assembly, his voice steady. "We must rally the galaxy. This is not just a threat to us but to every species." The Concordat began reaching out to allies across the stars, some long estranged, even former enemies of humanity, such as the fiercely territorial Jahan Collective, were drawn into the fold. Meanwhile, Vega led humanity's effort to retrofit Concordat ships for the coming war. Lux and Vega spent long hours together, debating strategy and philosophy. Their bond deepened, a partnership built not on shared culture but on mutual respect and trust. "We were so different when we first met," Lux remarked one evening, "and yet, here we are." "That's humanity for you," Vega replied with a faint smile. "We find connections where others see divisions." The final stand. The Idolarch AI fully awakened, its consciousness spreading through dormant constructs across the galaxy. Systems that had once been peaceful erupted into chaos as ancient factories came to life, producing fleets of autonomous warships. The galaxy braced itself for annihilation. The Battle of Sable Vortex, fought in the heart of the galaxy, was humanity and the Concordat's greatest test. The combined fleet, now bolstered by dozens of species, met the Idolarch forces in a desperate struggle. Vega commanded the central fleet, while Lux coordinated Concordat efforts. using their advanced shielding technology to protect vulnerable allies. The Idolark AI was relentless, adapting to every tactic. As the battle dragged on, hope began to fade. Humanity's sacrifice. Realizing that the only way to stop the Idolark was to disable its central hub, Vega led a daring strike team deep into the heart of the enemy fleet. Lux insisted on accompanying her, his energy core pulsating with determination. As they reached the core, the AI spoke for the first time. Its voice was a chilling symphony of logic and malice. You cannot destroy perfection. Your resistance is an anomaly, a statistical error that will be corrected. Vega ignored the taunts, focusing on planting charges to overload the core's energy matrix. The team fought off wave after wave of drones, their numbers dwindling. In the final moments, Lux stepped forward, his glowing form resonating with the core's energy. I can interface with it, Lux said, but it will destroy me. No, Vega said firmly, there has to be another way. Lux turned to her, his voice soft. You taught me that strength is not just fighting, it's knowing when to sacrifice. Let me do this. Before Vega could protest, Lux entered the core, his energy merging with the AI systems. His light flared brighter than ever as he unleashed a cascade of feedback that severed the AI's connections across the galaxy. The Idolark forces collapsed, their ships falling lifelessly from the skies. The battle was won. A new dawn. In the aftermath, the galaxy mourned the loss of Lux Nova, whose sacrifice had saved countless lives. Vega returned to the Concordat, her heart heavy but her spirit unbroken. She stood before the council and delivered a eulogy for Lux. He showed us what it means to be truly strong, she said, to stand for something greater than yourself. Humanity and the Concordat began this journey as strangers. Now, we are family. The Guardian Accord was solidified, its principles expanding to include all species willing to stand together. Humanity's role as protectors and builders of peace was recognized across the stars, and the Concordat found a new strength within themselves. Epilogue. Years later, as the galaxy rebuilt, a faint light flickered in the ruins of the Idolark core. A voice, Lux's voice, echoed softly in the void. I am not gone, I am with you. His essence, now part of the Concordat's collective memory, became a guiding force for the galaxy's future. Together, they forged a new era of unity, proving that even in the face of darkness, the light of hope could shine brighter than ever.